It happened on a quiet afternoon in London, a press event that was supposed to be simple, ordinary, and predictable. Jamie Dornan had been invited to promote his upcoming project, yet from the moment he walked in, something about him felt different. Gone was the easy smile, the light-hearted jokes. He looked composed, confident, but there was an energy in the room, as if he was carrying something big, something the world didn't see coming. The crowd of journalists leaned forward, waiting. When the moderator introduced him, Jamie gave his usual polite smile, thanked everyone for being there, and then paused. That pause lasted just a little too long. The cameras zoomed in. His eyes flickered with a spark, the kind that signals something's about to change. Then he said it. "I think it's time to finally talk about something that's been a part of my life for a long time." The room fell silent. Reporters froze, waiting for context, but Jamie didn't rush. He looked down at the table, gathering his thoughts. "Over the years," he continued, "I've been asked the same question again and again. About what really happened, about what was real and what wasn't." He smiled faintly. "And I've always avoided the truth. Maybe it's time I stop doing that." There was a low murmur in the room. Everyone knew exactly what he meant. Dakota Johnson, the co-star whose name had been tied to his for nearly a decade, ever since 50 Shades of Grey changed both of their lives forever. Jamie took a deep breath. "Dakota and we went through something together that only the two of us could ever understand. It was more than acting, it was an experience that bonded us forever." Gasps filled the room. Phones were raised, thumbs racing to record every word. He didn't look nervous, he looked relieved. "She's one of the most incredible people I've ever met," he said, his voice steady but warm. "There's a connection there that doesn't fade. No matter where life takes us, it's always there, quietly, permanently." Within seconds, the internet went insane. Twitter exploded with hashtags like #Jamie and Dakota, #Hidden Bond, and #Finally Confirmed. Clips from the press conference were uploaded before the event even ended. Fans replayed every expression, every blink, analyzing it frame by frame. Was he admitting to something more than friendship? Was this the confession the world had been waiting for? Back in the room, Jamie smiled knowingly, almost as if he could already hear the noise outside. "People have always made assumptions," he said. "Some of them were right. Some weren't. But what matters is that we've always had respect, and something real that we'll never need to define." That single line, "something real we'll never need to define," became the quote of the year. Reporters shouted follow-up questions, but Jamie simply laughed, shook his head, and said, "I think I've said enough." Then he stood, gave a polite nod, and left the stage. The moment he walked out, chaos erupted. Entertainment outlets scrambled for statements. Headlines popped up within minutes. Jamie Dornan's emotional admission sends internet into frenzy. Fans convinced Jamie finally confirms long-rumored bond with Dakota Johnson. Social media couldn't stop talking. Old clips of Jamie and Dakota resurfaced, the behind-the-scenes laughter, the stolen glances, the way they talked about each other in interviews. Fans began piecing together moments they once thought were just acting. One tweet read, "We weren't imagining it. The chemistry was real. It always was." Another said, "He finally said what we've known all along." By evening, the story had reached global media. Talk shows debated what Jamie really meant. Some said it was just a nostalgic reflection. Others insisted it was an emotional confession that confirmed years of speculation. And yet, through all the noise, there was one person everyone was waiting to hear from, Dakota Johnson. Because if Jamie had dropped the bomb, then her reaction would decide what came next. When the question reached her team, "Have you heard Jamie's statement?" she reportedly smiled before giving a single, cryptic reply. "Oh, he finally said it, huh?" The internet lost its mind. And that's when everything changed. Because what Dakota did next would stun fans even more than Jamie's revelation itself. The internet didn't sleep that night. Every fan page, gossip site, and entertainment outlet was glued to one question: how would Dakota Johnson respond? For nearly 24 hours, there was silence. No tweets, no posts, no interviews. Just a quiet, almost deliberate calm, the kind that only makes curiosity grow stronger. Then, as dawn broke in Los Angeles, the world got its answer. Dakota stepped out onto the red carpet of a charity gala, radiant, poised, but with a flicker of emotion that cameras couldn't miss. Reporters swarmed instantly, microphones flashing as questions flew at her like arrows. Dakota, have you heard Jamie's latest statement? What do you think about what he said? Is there something you'd like to tell your fans? She paused for a moment, brushing a strand of hair from her face, and smiled. It wasn't a forced Hollywood smile. It was soft, reflective, almost bittersweet. I did hear it, she said gently. And I think it's very brave. That single sentence sent shockwaves across the entertainment world. Fans flooded social media. She said it's brave. Does that mean she agrees? This is the most Dakota Johnson way to confess without confessing. But the story didn't end there. Later that evening, inside the event, Dakota was seen talking privately with a close friend. Cameras captured her saying, "He finally said out loud what we've both known for a long time." The clip leaked within hours, and chaos followed. It wasn't anger or regret in her tone. It was affection, nostalgia, and maybe even a trace of longing. That was all it took. The internet exploded again. "They've both admitted it," without actually admitting it, wrote one viral post. For longtime fans, it was a full-circle moment. They'd watched Jamie and Dakota's bond grow from professional to personal over the years. From awkward laughter on the 50 Shades set to genuine comfort in interviews long after the trilogy ended. They had always denied any romance, but their chemistry had been undeniable, something too real to fake. Now, for the first time, both had spoken with honesty, not confirming, not denying, but acknowledging what everyone had felt from the beginning: that they shared something deeper than just co-stars. Entertainment journalists tried to reach Jamie for comment after Dakota's response, but his team simply replied, "He stands by every word he said." That only added fuel to the fire. Talk shows replayed the footage side by side: Jamie's confession in London, Dakota's quiet words in Los Angeles. The emotional symmetry was undeniable. One journalist even said, "It feels like they're still connected, even from across the world." A few days later, a new twist hit the headlines. Fans noticed that Dakota had liked a post on Instagram, a black and white photo of Jamie from years ago, captioned, "Timeless chemistry never fades." Within minutes, the post had over 500,000 likes. It was the confirmation fans had been waiting for. Subtle, elegant, unmistakably real. In the days that followed, both stars went quiet again, leaving the world to piece together the fragments. But somehow, silence became louder than any statement. Fans began revisiting old interviews, noticing things they had missed before: the way Dakota looked at Jamie when he spoke, the soft grin he couldn't hide when she laughed. Every detail now seemed like a clue that had always been there. One fan wrote on X, formerly Twitter, "It wasn't about them hiding love, it was about protecting it." That post went viral, shared thousands of times, echoing the sentiment that maybe this story wasn't about a scandal or a revelation, but about two people who had always shared something too real for Hollywood to label. In a later interview, a close friend of Jamie's added one final spark to the story. Jamie didn't say those words to make headlines. He said them because sometimes, keeping something secret starts to feel like a lie. And maybe that's why Dakota's reaction resonated so deeply. She didn't deny it. She didn't run from it. She simply acknowledged the truth with grace, a truth that fans had sensed for years. Weeks later, at another event, photographers caught the moment everyone had been waiting for: Jamie and Dakota crossing paths again. He approached her with a gentle smile, she laughed softly, and for a fleeting second, they stood face to face. No words were exchanged. They didn't need any. The photos went viral within minutes. Two people, a decade of rumors, a lifetime of chemistry. captured in a single, silent moment. Maybe they weren't confessing to the world. Maybe they were just reminding it that real connections never fade, no matter how much time passes. And as one fan perfectly summed it up online, "He dropped the news. She answered with her heart. And the world felt it."